Alrighty, so what we want to do is we want to get started on your HTML project for making your own website. Okay. So the basic setup that you required to get a web page going is, I'm just going to show you the start part, and then the hope is that you should really be able to kind of Google and just base off previous memory how to try and figure the rest out. Right, ideally, oh my goodness, right. Then you have your body, that's where everything starts, and then in here is the nav, and then nav, sorry, ahref. So this would be your index.html. Call this home. Then, gallery, say contact. You have your section, and in here you'd probably have an H1, which you could say it says welcome, because we're on the home page. Right, and if you wanted to put some other text in here, it would obviously be in a P bracket. We don't just shove random text in here. Okay, so that there is everything you need for your website. Obviously these index.html would change to gallery and contact, etc, etc, like we've done before. So when we save this, it's going to want to save straight back to a previous file, and like I've got a heap of stuff in here because this is the subject website, so we don't want to save it there, we want to choose a location. So let's go back. Right, so in theory, Year 9s will be seeing something like this, and you've already got a web there, so we'll make a new one called web project, and in there, again, it needs to be called index.html, HTML, because that is what a website looks for as the home page. When you upload it to a website, upload your website code to an online server, it will instantly put this one as the default homepage. Right. Oops, sorry, HTML. Background. Color, and I always use something simple because I know that red's a standard color that I use. Like I don't want to use like lightsaber blue and then go, oh, it's not working, and it turns out that it's not a recognized color. So start with your basics. Should automatically go back to the same place. Styles.css. Then we go run, launch in Chrome, and it should, in theory, when it pops up, work, which it does. Here's your links, it's red, those are there, that's in style. So if I look at F12, I don't want that add stuff. Right, okay, so we can see nav, is that strip there? Yep. Section is everything in there. Okay. So what we want to do now is the next things that you would want to style. Okay, so I'll give you this one as a freebie. This is to get rid of any default settings with the spacing, so that way you can go, oh yeah, I want that to be there, and you're actually choosing. Okay, so this tag means basically every tag. So the next ones you want to deal with is nav, which is the whole group of links. Then nav A is the links inside them, so there's the words. Then section. I'll give you some help with section because it's not as straightforward. Needs a display, of inline block. Sorry, block. Margin. So we want to space it down from the top. So if you put two parameters in, just top, bottom, then left, right. So parameters mean like two numbers I'll put in. So I'll say I'll space it down by 20 pixels, and then I want the margin left, right, the spacing to be automatic, because I want to give it a width of, say, 60%. And then I'll give it a background color of white. And if you want the background color to be transparent but not the words, you need to give it a background color of an RGBA. And then you would go 255, 255, 255. That's 40%. Right. And I'm going to give it a min dash height, which is really a little handy one, because it means that if my gallery page is longer than 300 pixels, the section will go longer. But if I'm on the contact page and it's only really going to fill up like that much space on my page physically, then I want that section to sit a little bit longer, otherwise it looks a bit funny. Right. Okay. So if I go back. There. That's all your stuff there you really need to know. Now, in terms of trying to get this stuff to sit center and change the font size and all that kind of stuff, like, okay, so let's do an example. I want to get rid of the links under here, the underline. Alright, so I can Google CSS links, no underline. Right? W3 Schools is a really good one to use. Stack Overflow is really, professionals use this for complex questions, so it might be based off a simple question, but it'll be tied to something a lot more complicated and will not necessarily fun. The other one to use, let's see if it's in the list here, CSS Tricks is another good one to use as well. It gets a little bit more in depth, but it's still user friendly for you guys to view and use. So W3 Schools is normally your first go-to. It doesn't mean that this first line is going to cover it. Right, so additional links could be different states they're in. A, hover, active, visited. Okay, so this doesn't really talk about what we want. Text decoration. Text decoration property is mostly used to remove underlines from links. That's exactly what we want. Now, if I do this and take the whole thing, because text decoration none, opposed to underline, I think none would probably get rid of the underline. I'm not wanting to take this part. I don't want to take this part. I just want the bit of code that refers to the thing I want to do, because it might be trying to put it on an A link, which is every A link on the page, and I might want some of my links to have underlines under them. So, or it will be referring to something else that I'm not using, and so it won't work. So hence you always just take the middle part rather than copy pasting the whole thing. I've seen students do this, take the whole thing and then just go, oh, what's not happening because you said no underlink, then add an underlink and an underline, and so it's kind of like copy paste it, fake it till you make it. It's pretty obvious when students don't have a clue. Now, which one should I apply this to? Should I apply this to the HTML, the nav A? And I get students freaking out, so I'll just paste it under one. Just choose one. Then go here, and we'll refresh the page. I'll make sure I saved it. Yes, I have. I've saved it, and I've refreshed it. It hasn't come through, so I'll shift it to the next one. Oh, look, it works. Okay, so this is this whole trial and error stuff. Okay. It doesn't matter if it's not quite right. It doesn't matter if it's not quite perfect, because all you do is you try, see if it works. If it doesn't work, try it on something else. Okay, you will eventually get there. My honest advice in terms of trying to get your own website going and getting it all styled, like, oh, how do I do the background? How do I do this? Focus on the simple elements of, like, let's get rid of the underline. Right, let's get this text in the middle. Let's get the text bigger. Let's try and space it from each other. Spacing is either margin or padding. how do I change the style of the text? How do I, so you just look these things up bit by bit by bit by bit, and you chip away and just do one small thing at a time. Once you've done 6 or so things that you've ticked off in one class, you find like, oh, actually I've got quite a bit done. I've got quite a few things looking nice. But yeah, focus on the simple, easy things first, and then leave the more complicated things till later. Because by the time you've got to those more complicated things, you'll be like, oh, yep, I'm understanding all of this stuff a whole lot more. So now when I've looked up how to do it, like it makes sense to me. Like I'm getting it now a lot more than when I first started doing it, trying to kind of muddle through and get this done. Okay, so that is my advice and your starting point. So this will be up on YouTube, but all the other videos that I've done previously that you copied off, I will actually have them turned off for a period of time, because this whole point is that you are using a clean website in terms of clean code and you're just working through it, not just trying to copy again. Like, I've given you enough structure to get you started. Now you need to fumble through and figure stuff out, because when you figure things out you actually understand, rather than I can copy stuff but without the copying I don't know what to do. Right, good luck.